Welcome, everyone. EDH takes tier list episode 2. This time we're going to be doing the Orzhov commanders. I know we had a lot of fun doing the last one. So, just a couple things to mention before we get started here. Because this is not our first tier list, you might be keen to compare, S tier in this tier list versus like S tier in the Boros tier list. But the way we're doing this is the S tier is self-contained. So like the best commander in this set will be S tier, even if it's much worse than the best.
This is just pertaining to specifically Orzhov commanders.
Yeah. So like if I put, let's say I put Teysa here in S, that doesn't mean that she's as good as Aurelia in our Boros S tier.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, is she? Or where was she? Right here. She's going right there. No, right here, right there. Back to everything in its place. But yeah, I'm Spencer Cook, and I got Eli with me here.
Yeah, I'm Elijah Samuelson, and yeah, this should be a fun exercise because we don't play a ton of Orzhov, but I think we both like it. I just built my first Orzhov commander deck, and that's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, and
I games last night,
and you had a good time, didn't you?
Yeah,
and I've played at least one or two Orzhov decks in the past. They weren't like super tuned or like made to be as strong as possible though. So I'm looking forward to building another one in the future too. So I think we should just kind of get started and kind of just go.
Yeah,
right?
Let's go in first. We've got Arvad the Cursed, 5 mana 3/3, Death Touch lifelink, and other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. So notably, he's an uncommon commander from Dominaria.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those, like we talked about Tiana in the last episode, they were, just kind of, in a way, sort of like draft filler for Dominaria because there was a lot of like legendary matter stuff. So they're not like, aside from one particular one that we'll get to eventually, probably in the last episode, they're all pretty mild. They're very
Simic.
Like,
sorry, forgive me.
Yeah, they made a mistake with
Tatsiova.
Yeah, there's
whatever.
a bit of an imbalance. We'll digress on that.
But like you were saying, Eli, these are generally kind of lower power level, not made to be the best commanders. Sometimes they can, like you said, they can sneak a good one in there, but obviously this is not an S tier commander. There's a couple other not in the Orzhov colors, but like mono green kind of legendary creature matters. They give them like +1/+1 and some other abilities sometimes. And I'm not really a big fan of these like legends matter cards. I think there are a lot of good legendary creatures. I don't think it's good to like restrict yourself to them.
Yeah, it could be a cool theme though. Like I like aggro decks, I like beater decks with just like cool like good creatures, and there's lots of good legendary creatures in Orzhov colors. So it's probably fun, but I think at the best you're gonna get out of Arvad is like maybe like a C tier, D tier.
Yeah, he's somewhere in.
He's just an anthem, but he's a fine body. He's got good abilities, and +2/+2 is a good anthem. It's hard to get a lot of mileage out of an anthem where you can't like make tokens of the creatures, right? Like you can't make like legendary tokens and then like buff your board. So his +2/+2 is probably at most going on like 2 or 3 creatures, right?
Yeah, well, notably, at least in Orzhov colors, there's not particularly many legendary creatures that fit at 1 and 2 mana or even 3. Most of them, I mean, there are some 3 mana creatures, but most of them are going to be a little bit lower in the mana cost, or a little bit higher in the mana cost. Sorry, at least 4 or 5. So if the turn he's coming down on turn 5, you're probably buffing 1 or 2 max.
Yeah. So one anecdote. It's not based on him as a commander, but we both had Kethis the Hidden Hand decks for a little bit.
Yep.
And I think I only played mine a couple games, but the thing that got me really excited to build that deck was playing like a turn 1 mana dork and a turn 2 Kethis, and then playing a 5 mana legendary on turn 3.
5 is kind of the sweet spot for the decent and good legendary. 5 and 4 mana.
Yeah,
right?
and I was so excited to do that. And Arvad was one of the coolest creatures in that deck because if you play him on turn 3, then your Kethis becomes I think a 5/6.
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
and that's a really good anthem for that deck. So
yeah, so
he's got spots. He's got play.
I want to put him in D, just because he's not super powerful, but he could be. Are you okay just putting him in D for now and maybe moving him up later?
I think D.
Yeah.
Unless we get a bunch of other things that we're like, oh, these are
worse than
way
him.
worse than that.
Yeah. All right, so next we have Aryel, Knight of Windgrace, also from Dominaria, but this one's a 4 mana 4/4 with Vigilance, and it's kind of like a Knight Matters commander, and it's got 3 mana tap, make a 2/2 knight with Vigi, and 1 mana tap, tap X untap knights you control, and destroy a creature with power X or less.
And she's riding a panther.
Oh, she is. That's kind of interesting.
Based.
Yeah. Well, she also looks like she has a Dark Souls shield, but that's not really relevant at all. So, I guess she is your Knights commander, right? There's not really much else except for Sylvia and Korvath,
There's
right?
Sir Gwyn, the Mardu.
They care about Knights?
Yeah, it's a weird deck.
Oh, sorry. The 3 mana, the precon, brawl precon.
She's the brawl precon.
Sorry,
6 mana makes your equip costs free. Equip 0 to Knights, but like she's kind of a weird commander because she splits you into Knights and also equipments, but really like the best Sir Gwyn deck's probably just like a Voltron deck with Sir Gwyn, and you just free equip everything to her. You
said Sir Gwyn, and my mind immediately jumped to all of the single colored mana Sir
like Sir Kara and Sir Alan.
Yep, and I
Sir
completely
Conrad.
forgot that they had a 3-color one in the Brawl deck.
Yep.
But yeah, I like you said before, I think I would not want to build that as much of a Knights deck as this would be more. This kind of has to be built as a Knights deck, otherwise it doesn't do anything.
That's
right?
all it really does, and well, she's also kind of a.
I guess she makes Knights on her own. So
she's an engine within herself because she at least is a knight, makes you knights,
has vigilance, so you can attack and do it as well at the same time. But I'm starting off kind of low. I'm not too impressed with her either. I mean, there are some cool knights that you can play in these colors, mostly white, but black does have some notable ones. Usually, they're not great, but you have like the knights that like buff. There's like a knight with like protection from white. There's that knight that if you have a white like creature, he gets like +1 power in like first strike or something. This is from whatever. It's from like Dominaria.
Yeah, there's plenty of knights. Knights has been a creature type
for a long time.
The whole game.
Just mostly in white, I think.
And
or
there were a bunch of new knights in Eldraine, so it's a pretty supported tribe. I think on that gets it a C maybe. It's got like, it's not like an offbeat tribe really, but it doesn't. People just don't play knights because there's not like a better payoff commander than this or Sir Kara.
Yeah,
neither of which are great.
I suppose Aryel does. I'm not a big fan of her, but she does fit the criteria of having decent stats for her cost, a relevant keyword, and abilities that do things. So, and that's more than can be said about some of these cards that just don't have abilities that do things.
Yeah.
So, we'll put her in C for now. Maybe that changes. But next we have Athreos, God of Passage.
Yeah, Athreos. This is a classic one, I think. A lot of people are familiar with Athreos because of like game nights. It's been played once or twice, I think.
And I think a lot of people, at least 3 or 4 years ago, maybe have known someone who's played an Athreos deck, done that Shadowborn Apostle kind of thing, and it's always got that interesting aspect to it of like if you get someone to less than 3 life, they literally can't pay the 3 life to give you the card back.
So that's kind of neat.
Notably, it is the one of the gods that comes down at 3 mana. Between that and Firja, those are the only 2 ones from the original Theros block. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's really nice. Good stats if you can turn it into a creature.
But honestly, like it really the thing that's it's obviously I'm not here to say it's bad. I think I'm not here to put it in S tier, but and it does do things, but it kind of just like requires you to have your other creatures die, which it'll happen in a game, but like I think the thing that happens most of the time when I play against Athreos decks is you just pay the life and then it just doesn't do anything, right? You just always pay the life almost all the time. Unless you can't
find one person that for some reason is like, I don't want to lose 3 life.
Yeah.
And that's so cringe when somebody's at like 40 and they're like, no, you can have the creature back.
Yeah, unless there's those situations where it's like a creature with an ETB that deals with something on the board, and you're like, oh, let's team up. You get it back, and you get rid of that Rhystic Study or something. Like that's a thing that can happen sometimes. Yeah. But other than that, like I think you really kind of need to get into a very specific situation to get the cards back. So this makes me kind of want to put it somewhere like B tier, or maybe even like top of C tier. I'm probably B tier, right, Eli? Or what do you think?
I think B, because I think just the baseline, like even outside of like an Aristocrats or like something based around like looping those creatures, like it just turns it into like if you wrath me, Athreos lives, and I just dome whoever wrathed me for 3 times the amount of creatures that die.
Yeah, take 9 or something, right? Whatever it is,
So
or
that's
even
not
more.
bad. Like,
no,
if you even think about it like that, that's like fine, I think.
Yeah, and it does work with. Well, no, it doesn't work with tokens because they just say, yeah, you can have it in your hand.
Yeah,
and then the token obviously doesn't go to your hand. So, oh, it's also notably it says creature you own. So interestingly, I mean, I guess that makes sense because it goes to your graveyard. But if they like take control of your stuff and then they die,
yeah,
I don't think that's super relevant at all, though. But I think we're going to leave it right here for now. And now we have the other Athreos.
This was another one that was just a buy a box promo. So
Really?
you couldn't this wasn't in the actual set.
Oh,
That was the only way you could get it.
I didn't know that.
So I think he's actually kind of spendy as a result of that.
Hmm.
Because he's kind of a neat commander. He's a 6 mana 4/7 indestructible. You got to have devotion equal to 7 to make him a creature. And on your end step, you put a coin counter on another target creature. And when the creature with the coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, which is like pretty neat because that's not a very common.
They usually only
trigger.
Yep.
Return that card to the battlefield under your control.
Notably, just to he's about $3 or $4, so it's not
really?
too. Yep, he's not that bad.
That's good.
But so I've only ever seen this card one time, and it was on Magic Online, and eventually when they did get it out, it was pretty good. They played it along. I think they played it alongside a 3-mana white creature that says tap, destroy a tapped creature or something like that. I think it's maybe I'm misremembering, but it was a 3-mana creature that taps to destroy something. Maybe
Are you thinking of Intrepid Hero? Maybe
is it destroy
power 4 or greater?
That might be it. Whatever it was, they did that, and that's kind of cool because it means you can do it right away. I think you really want to be able to play Athreos and then kill something the same turn, so you can start getting the value out of it very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. But outside of those situations, it is a pretty slow card. Obviously, it has indestructibility, so it's not going to die. But I don't hate the card, but it is slow, right?
Yeah, some people might dislike this, but I think it's actually a good thing, despite like claims of power creep, is changing these triggers on these high CMC creatures or like permanents to be on your end step instead of on your upkeep. So
I like that.
Like whereas like 10 years ago, something like Assembled Legion would be a 5-mana enchantment, triggers on your upkeep. But now these are like, it's 6 mana, triggers on your end step. Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes it okay. Because if it was your upkeep, that would be super slow. I think I'd maybe give him like a B tier.
How do you feel about here? Yeah, below
like a low B.
Oops.
Yeah, I think he's kind of cool.
I think so too.
I think it's a really unique ability.
Yeah, I mean, like I would definitely. I'm sure it'd be really cool to look up those. There's that one card that is like a big angel with a scythe and in black. And maybe she's a demon, and she just taps to kill a creature or something.
Yeah,
like
Avatar
for a million mana.
Yeah,
but that's the kind of card that this reminds me of, where you're just like, oh, I kill a creature, and then I give it a coin counter, and I get it for myself. But yeah, that's about all I have to say about Athreos. He's cool. He's cool, but not super great. Next we have Ayli, is it Ayli? I think it's
Ayli.
Yeah, Eternal Pilgrim right here. Notably, she is one of the most recent life gain, and she's pretty old, so it's weird to say that, but I think she's one of the most recent life gain commanders they printed in Orzhov, unless I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, she's back from Oath of the Gatewatch back in...
Which is a while ago.
2016, I think? Yeah.
Have they printed a life gain commander since then? In these colors?
Well, there's, like...
Liesa, I guess, but not really like...
Orzhov commanders, like, just kind of sometimes incidentally care about life gain, but it's not like... Yeah, it's not the focus.
But, yeah, there are some... Her and then a couple older than her have been pretty
like Vona, maybe.
Yeah, and Vona and, like, the other 2-mana one are pretty dedicated to life gain. But, she's a cool little core cleric. I miss the core. I like the core quite a bit.
Yeah, she's 2 mana, 2/3 death touch. That's good.
Those are really good stats. Yeah.
1 mana, sack a creature, gain life equal to its toughness. That's fine. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. And 3, sacrifice, or 1 white/black, sacrifice another creature, exile target non-land permanent. But you can only do that if you have at least 10 more life than your starting life total.
So you have to have 50, which is pretty difficult, I'd say, right? You have to put in some work. You have to put in some work to get to 50.
Yeah, like and people like have an ability to shut that ability off if they want to stop you. But if you're playing like Soul Sisters and stuff,
yeah. Or like that bird avatar that is like an 8/8 with flying and lifelink. If you have more than 25 life, 25 or more life.
Yeah, Divinity of Pride.
Divinity of Pride. Like that's a card that I personally like a lot. You can definitely get there. There's some pretty solid lifelink creatures in these colors, like Archangel of Thune and stuff like that. So, and once you get to that point, you kind of just get to start like just having a Swords to Plowshares on a stick, that you can just activate for as many creatures as you have in 3 mana. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, because you just play like stuff like Soul Sisters, lifelink creatures, and then you gain the life, and then once you gain that life, you can sacrifice them to destroy stuff. So I think she's really cool.
And also, notably, this is a thing that I've noticed playing my Cheval Bane of Monsters deck, is that 2 mana and Death Touch on a commander is actually super relevant. You'd be surprised how often I'm just willing to just trade this with something and then just cast it for 4 later. I've played Cheval, and I've traded my Cheval with probably five times, and then cast it for 12, and then still have it as a blocker to live.
You know how people say playing a Planeswalker is kind of like gaining life because it makes people have to attack the Planeswalker?
Mm-hmm.
Having a 2 mana 2/3 with Death Touch that doesn't even lose you a card when it dies, that probably also effectively prevents you 10 damage in a game.
And I love me a 2 mana commander, so that makes me want to put her in B tier above these two. Is that crazy? Is that crazy to put her above Athreos?
I definitely think she's better than Athreos.
You down with her in B
I
tier
have a
up here?
friend that plays a Ayli deck on Magic Online, and it's got a deck restriction because it's a Luris companion deck, and it's still a really good deck, in my opinion. So I like her a lot.
So a high B tier for Ayli, in my opinion. If you don't mind, I'd like to just take a moment here before we move on to the next card to just mention that. So, I said earlier, Eli, I don't play a lot of Orzhov commanders, but Orzhov, I think, means kind of a lot to me in that I think Orzhov, as a color combination, has some of the coolest multicolored cards in all of the color combinations. So I think almost every 2-color Orzhov card is at least playable, if not really good and awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Orzhov was actually the first 2-color deck that I ever, Magic deck I ever built myself as a new player back in way in 2012 or whenever I started playing Magic, or maybe it was even way back in 2008.
It's a long time ago.
2010, when I was in middle school. Because I really liked the aesthetic of white cards and the gameplay of black cards, and I liked the combined aesthetic of Orzhov cards.
Yeah, and
they're just always so pretty.
There are so many Orzhov cards that are Orzhov multicolored cards that just are able to deal with anything in the game. So, for example, you've got all of those Utter End type cards that just exile anything, so forever. You've got a million kind of undersung random multicolored cards like Kaya's Guile, which is so versatile and just does a ton of things, is able to do whatever you need to do. Mm-hmm. You have cards like Lingering Souls, which are just, oh my god, that card just that hits me right in the heart. I love Lingering Souls. Playing that in limited or in standard or even modern is just so fun. So Orzhov, even the new ones where they just exile the 2 mana, exile a creature, and you lose life if you don't have any humans. They know how to make my heart, they know how to make my heart turn.
We love Orzhov.
So, and I don't even play much Orzhov, so I just want to say Orzhov is really cool. Sorry about that tangent, Eli. Do you want to introduce the next card?
We got a newbie, Breena the Demagogue, 3 mana, or 1 white-black, a 1/3 flying bird warlock. Whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, that attacking player draws a card, and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. So it incentivizes your opponents to attack each other, and it will give them cards. But every time they try and draw a card, you're going to get 2 +1/+1 counters on one of your creatures, which doesn't have to be Breena, but it probably should be because she's a 1/3. She's got flying, and so she just gets huge. It's kind of like Karlov. I actually played against this deck in Alexandria recently, and Breena was insanely huge by turn 6, and I was almost dead to commander damage if somebody didn't board wipe.
Yeah, no, it's it's kind of obviously it gives them cards, which is bad, right? We don't want to do that, but it's kind of like a 3 mana Ishai, in the sense that it's just a flying commander that's that does like 9 damage the turn after it comes out, honestly.
Yeah, because if all your opponents have creatures and they want to draw cards, so you're getting 6+1/+1.
Yeah, obviously not 9 exactly, but yeah, 7 damage.
Well, you can trigger it too, so even if
up to 9.
you can
I guess you're right.
one of those opponents, and then so you could get her up to a 9,
11 immediately if everybody has a creature on board and wants to draw a card, right, and gives the counters.
Yeah, so
obviously it's kind of unfortunate that like it depends on your opponents to kind of play nice, but I think most times in a commander game, your opponents will be they will be searching for something.
People really
want to draw cards. I'll do so much to draw a card.
I mean, I think most people could even have like a full grip and still be like, if I could draw a card just for like no cost to myself,
2 counters in your guy, I'll do it. Yeah. But I think Breena, like I personally haven't played against her or with her. You said you played 1 game against her, or maybe multiple games.
Yeah, and it was like a new deck. Like this guy was like testing out his new deck, so it wasn't even like the best Breena deck you can make. But I don't even think he did that much in that game aside from playing Breena, and it was still like so good just by itself. So I want to give it an A just based on my personal experience.
Yeah, well, so this might seem like a weird card to put in A tier, but honestly, I looked at some of these Orzhov commanders beforehand, and I honestly think that Orzhov is kind of wanting for these like really powerful S and A tier commanders. So they might have like a lot of Bs, but I don't think too many ultra powerful cards, so that it kind of like compared to other colors. I don't think Orzhov is one of the most powerful two color decks for the commanders on their own. I think they're powerful based on the cards you put in the decks.
Yeah, and like we were saying in our discussion about Orzhov a minute ago, I feel like Orzhov to me feels the most like, if you had to compare it to a monocolor, it feels the most like white. Like these commanders are mostly like pretty fair. They're just like they're like beaters or they're like control, and yeah, they're good, but they're very fair.
Yeah, so it might seem strange to put this card up in A tier, but I think that's just kind of because the other cards that are super powerful aren't actually the cards you'd expect to be in A tier are actually like a little bit worse than you might think. I think that's why I think this goes in A tier.
Yeah.
So that being said, I would say low A tier for this.
Yep. I like it.
Yeah. Moving on, we got Daxos the Returned from the Experience Counters cycle of Magic 2015. Yes. Daxos is cool. He's a 3-mana 2/2, and he says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get an experience counter, and you can pay 3 mana to make a spirit token that has power and toughness equal to the number of experience counters you have. So I think this is the only enchantment matters commander in all of Orzhov. Usually you wouldn't think of Orzhov as an enchantment deck, but you can with white in your colors, you always can go into that kind of pillow forty thing where you just try to get people not to attack you and stuff like that.
Yeah, in Magic, there's not too many black enchantment support cards outside of like the Theros blocks. Yeah, but you got a lot in white, and you've got just play good enchantments. Like that's all you need to do.
You play Phyrexian Arena and Black Market and stuff like that, and as your black cards, and those do fine.
You play cute cards like the Abyss and Nethervoid.
You
just got those laying around somewhere.
Just good old fun cards that you pulled out of your box when you were a kid, and you're like, I don't want to put a down payment on a car. Let me just play these. Yeah, we got a. You can also play. Oh God, what's the? Never mind. We're just gonna move on from Daxos. I think Daxos is pretty good. I like the Returned. I had a friend who used to play a Daxos deck a long time ago, back when it came out, just because you got the precon. I don't think he's super powerful, but I don't know. I want to say low B or in C above here. What do you think?
Maybe high C.
Sure.
Like he's
not
good. Like 3 mana, like make a big token is pretty cool, but he doesn't do a lot aside from that.
And he kind of requires you to play enchantments whereas he kind of wants you to play a critical mass of them so that you can get like kind of big, but like there's probably only about like 10 or 12 enchantments that you really want to play, because like once you start putting like Oblivion Rings in your deck, I think you're just kind of making your deck worse for the sake of having them be enchantments. I guess that if you can benefit off of the Enchantress cards, I guess if you draw a card with your Oblivion Ring, it gets better than a Swords, but well, not better than a Swords.
Yeah, the nice thing is like experience counters never go away, so as long as you get that up to like 3, I think you're fine, because like 3 mana make a 3/3 is good, but if you're always going like 3 mana, like if you play Daxos, play like one enchantment, he gets killed or he gets board wiped, and it just always becomes like you got to play Daxos, play another enchantment, and then make it so you got to like pay 3 mana, make a 2/2.
Yeah,
it's not amazing.
That being said, with what is this, Aryel, I think, back here as the Knights commander, the reason that Daxos is firmly above Aryel, because they both kind of are similar in that they both want you to play a specific theme, and they both have abilities that benefit from that theme. Daxos is a mana sink that you can utilize, all of your mana on, because it's just an activate ability, whereas Aryel is a tap ability. You can only do once per turn. So I really like for example, like I said with Black Market, if you end up getting, if a board wipe happens and you get 12 counters in your Black Market, you can just make
he's a good army in a can.
You can just make 4 6/6s or something.
Speaking of army in a can, you have the famous Elenda the Dusk Rose.
Something like $30 or whatever.
4 mana, 1/1 with lifelink. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Elenda the Dusk Rose. When she dies, you create X 1/1 vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is Elenda's power. So we were talking before we started this about how she's kind of famous for being the the catalyst for the impetus for the rules change on Commander death triggers.
Back in 2018, 19?
Yeah, it was a while ago now, actually.
Yeah, I think it was 2019.
It was shortly after the creation of the Commander Advisory Group.
Sure. So it was ever 2018.
So I think Ixalan Block had been out for a couple of years at this point. Because it came out in 2018, so it must have been like 2019 or 2020.
But because this is a card that has a trigger when it dies, and before the commander's rules change, when commanders died, they would, if a commander would die and you put it into your command zone, that meant it would not get a dies trigger. But now, after that change, you get the dies trigger no matter what.
Yeah, because it used to be a replacement effect, and you could make the argument that people who've been playing Commander for a long time mostly knew that rule, but I also did encounter many instances where somebody would have a Blood Artist or something out, and somebody would play a board wipe. So everyone's like, okay, count up the creatures, and a couple people would go and to count their commanders because you just think how many creatures were in play.
Yeah.
And I would always have to be the death trigger police.
And be like, no, are you going to put that in your graveyard? Because you put it in your graveyard, you get a trigger, but otherwise it goes to the command zone, so...
Yeah, so that it wasn't the most intuitive thing. It's if you know the rules, you can get it, but I think a lot of new players especially, I could see why they wouldn't know that.
Yeah, and overall I'm in favor of the rules change to make it so commanders die, and it's fine. It doesn't really make a big difference.
I like the rules change.
More simple. But that being said, so Elenda doesn't really do anything right away when she comes out, right? I mean, you don't always ask for commanders to do things when they come out. More so the more expensive commanders, you want to do something right away.
Yeah, she's 4 mana, so I think that's it's passable.
Yeah. So she'll just Eli, she'll just sit on the board, and whenever things die, things do be dying in Commander, right, Eli?
Creatures be dying.
So let me think. So let's say you play her on turn 3 or turn 4, right? How long, Eli, do you expect, with just in an average game, before she gets to be, big enough to get you a couple dudes?
Well, you play Elenda.
Yep.
The next turn you play a Fleshbag Marauder.
Yep.
And then she gets 4 counters,
It's 4 counters, right? Yep.
Assuming that everyone has a creature, but they probably do by that point.
Yeah, and if no one has a kill effect for Elenda in response, or an exile effect to stop her from triggering, she eventually, when she dies, either you sacrificing her or her just dying because she gets big and needs to die at some point, she will make 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/1s with lifelink.
Yeah, so if you do that, play Elenda on turn 3 or 4, play an Edict or some kind of Fleshbag thing on the next turn, smack somebody for 5 or more,
yeah.
And then if she dies, you get 5 1/1s.
Mm-hmm. I think she's doing a good job, right? And all it required you to do was to play Edict creatures, which are already pretty solid in Commander, I think.
I think Josh Lee Kwai played this on game nights before the rules change, but he had a turn. It was pretty cool, actually, where he like did some kind of like killed a bunch of creatures. She was huge, and then sacrificed her with a Cathar's Crusade in play.
Okay.
And then all those creatures became like 11. You got like 11 or something.
And you could do that on an end step too if you had like a sack outlet.
Yeah. I think he actually he did it in response to like somebody doing something, and it was pretty neat.
Yeah, and it's notably if you have like those village rights type right, that's the card that does it, right? That sacrifices a creature.
Sack a creature draw.
Yeah, those are sack as a cost, right?
Yep.
So, you can really can't get, blown out if you have sacrifice as a cost. So you can't like go to play that card and then they swords it or whatever because it's already in the graveyard. So, I mean, I think Elenda's definitely very good, right? I think I want to put her in A tier. What do you think, Eli? Or is she S?
I think we could stick her in A for now.
Sure. Well, above the bird guy for sure. I think. But Elenda, I mean, just does a lot on its own without really working too hard for it, right? I mean, you do have to work a little bit, but even if it just sits around and gets a couple counters, it's going to be permissible. Even just chump blocking with a 3/3 Elenda is okay.
So Spencer, once she's like a little bit big, she works with the Ashnod's Altar Nim Deathmantle combo, right? If she makes...
Oh, if she makes an... You're saying if she makes...
If she makes at least 2 tokens, you sacrifice those tokens. Like when she dies, you pay 4, return her to play.
Well, the problem is with the colored mana requirements, you would need to have a Phyrexian Altar to make the colored mana.
Well, you don't need colored mana for Nim Deathmantle.
Oh, Nim Deathmantle. Sorry, I was thinking you were... My bad. I was misunderstanding what you were saying. Yeah.
Oh, and actually, it gives the creature +2/+2 also, so when she dies, she would create 3 1/1s. So yeah, that should work.
With Nim Deathmantle?
So you make infinite vampires and infinite colorless mana?
That seems powerful, yeah. Sorry, with Nim Deathmantle. Yeah, so... I'm sure there's some other ways that you can go off like that with... or just, even if she's not going infinite... just sacrificing her to like one of the altars and making and playing like an Exsanguinate for like let's say she has like 10 counters on it because of board wipe or something. I mean, I guess she would have to survive the board wipe, but whatever. Maybe you have some way to give her protection or something, like at an instant speed, and then she survives a board wipe, and then she has like 15 counters on her.
She reminds me of
you can Exsanguinate for
kind of like Crash.
Yeah,
blood braided. So if you play like an Angarrick's Wake with her out,
there you go.
She gets huge, and then you kill somebody with commander damage.
Yeah, and then you could sack her, sack all the tokens, play an Exsanguinate for X = 20. Or in Orzhov, I guess you could play Debt to the Deathless.
Yeah, she's a surprisingly simple ability, but there's a lot
you can do with that. Yeah. I don't know the name of this next girl.
Felisa.
Felisa?
Fang of Silverquill.
All right. Well,
4 mana Vampire Wizard. There's another newbie from the commander decks this year.
All right, hear me out here, Eli, okay? She is a Orzhov card with Mentor.
Yeah, I actually really like them taking like those one-off set mechanics and just throwing them in commander decks.
It's kind of weird because Mentor was the mechanic. It'd be like giving an Orzhov card Battalion, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the original
one. They could just
one.
do that.
That's fine. I mean, I don't mind it. I like it, but like
because it's got to kind of suck for whoever is in charge of making new mechanics for every set to be the person that like makes like a brand new mechanic and then they never use it again.
Especially if it's a good mechanic, because I think Mentor is pretty cool.
I like Mentor, yeah.
I mean, it's a card that they could just kind of throw on things like this, and it'll be, especially if it has like power matters or +1/+1 counter matters. It's cool.
Yeah, because she does care about +1/+1 counters. Whenever your non-token creatures you control die, if they had counters on them, you create X, tap 2/1 white and black Inkling tokens with flying, where X is the number of counters it had on it.
So the play pattern that you'd imagine is like you'd attack with this and another 3-drop or something, and you give it a counter, and then they block it or they trade or something, and then you end up getting an Inkling, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's just fine, that's good. And she is a flying commander. I mean, her stats aren't crazy, 4 mana for a 3/2 with flying, but she does come with that Mentor ability and that ability to make Inklings. So I don't think she really pushes you in any particular direction. I think you can kind of go with her what you want to do. Besides telling you to play creatures with power less than her, right?
Yeah, and well,
or just the counters theme.
We talked about on the last episode my Tajik Legion's Edge deck, which is a kind of a Mentor deck. It cares about counters in some ways. And a really cool card in that deck is Basri's Lieutenant that gives you a 2/2 Knight whenever your creatures with counters on them die.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of like a Basri's Lieutenant in the command zone. You would probably even play Basri's Lieutenant in this deck too, because then you get a 2/2 and a 2/1.
You could play Luminous Broodmoth because your creatures would die, come back with flying counters, and when they would die again, you would get an Inkling because it doesn't care about +1/+1 counters. It's any counters.
Yeah.
Or I think if you played a Black Sun Zenith, you would put like 6 counters on all your creatures, and then you would get then let's say you had 3 creatures out, 3 creatures besides her. Oh, it's a non-token creature you control. So even her. So let's say you have 3 creatures, just 3, and you play a Black Sun Zenith for X = 6. I think you get 18 2/1s. I'm not sure, but I think you do.
I think you're right.
That's awesome.
Because it's any counters.
Yeah, so...
That's really cool.
I didn't think of that until just now, but that makes me even more excited to play her because that's just awesome. So, that being said, I don't think... I think she's solid B tier. Or do you think... Or do you think she's down here, like right here?
I think maybe a high B.
Sure. Above Ayli or below Ayli? Maybe above Athreos?
Yeah.
Something like here?
Yeah, I like her a lot.
That might seem crazy to put Athreos below her, but like we talked about earlier, we're not super big on Athreos, although he is kind of... Athreos has kind of proven himself.
He's got a reputation.
He's got a reputation, but I think
Felisa.
I think Felisa has a lot to prove, and I hope she does that. Maybe we'll get a game nights appearance or some other Commander content thing people can see.
If I could get a cheap copy of her or like trade for it, I might throw her in my Shadrix deck, actually.
Do you have a Black Sun Zenith in there? Because you could throw it in there. And
no, but at least I could like use Shadrix to give all my creatures +1/+1 counters.
And then if a board wipe happens, you could get like 12 power of Inklings or something?
Yeah, I was actually really on the fence about maybe even putting Basri's Lieutenant in that deck for that reason.
And that would be a reason to do it.
But I kind of have like a flying sub-theme in that deck, and like she could mentor onto Shadrix, who has double strike, and then... Yeah, cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Like now we have... This is Firja. Firja, yeah.
Judge of Valor.
So this was kind of the... I know a lot of people were excited about her because she had... Well, let me read what she does. She's a 5 mana for a 2/4 with flying and lifelink. And she says, when you cast your second spell each turn, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand and the rest in the graveyard. So the first thing you think of as this is like, oh, it's like a reanimator deck because you get to fuel your graveyard, right? And then, reanimate stuff. Is that how you think you'd build it if you were to build it, Eli, or do you think you'd go with something else?
Yeah, probably just incidental graveyard stuff. Like, it's good card draw because it's draw a card plus selection.
Yeah.
So that's probably good enough even if you don't care about your graveyard, but you're playing white and black, so you almost definitely do.
You almost always do. How hard do you think it is to get that 2 cards? Do you think you're casting 2 spells in your opponent's turn with this deck, or do you think you're just kind of aiming to do it on your turn and then kind of...
Probably just once a turn.
Probably just on your turn, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the way... Especially because this is a 5-mana card, it's the kind of deck where you'd want to play Mana Rocks in it. Yeah. So I think you play her, and then later on the next turn maybe you play a Mana Rock, and then a creature or another spell or something.
You know what sucks though is you're not doing it every turn.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
Like you probably just want to play some big spells in your deck, and you're gonna take a turn off to play like a Sun Titan or like a Grave Titan. Yeah,
and I really am kind of surprised. She is an uncommon, so that might be why she is a little bit low on the stats department, but she's a 5-mana 2/4 with flying and lifelink. Like, those stats are kind of miserable. I think this is the kind of card which could have been like a 4/4 flying lifelink.
I think she definitely could have been a 4/4.
So,
I don't I guess maybe they designed for limit a little bit.
No, she's uncommon. I mean, if she was a rare, she could have been a 4/4, right? Sure. But yeah, I'm not huge on Firja, although I do like anticipating, but it is kind of a lot of work. You'd be surprised how often casting 2 spells at a turn is work. I mean, you'd think that's kind of like what you dream to do in Commander, but personally, I like playing, Sun Titans and stuff.
Yeah, we like just curving out.
Yeah, so I want to put her in C tier.
Yeah.
I want to put her here, below Daxos and above. She does get you cards advantage, but I want to put her below Daxos. Is that crazy?
I think below Daxos.
Above the Knight
she's
one,
5
though.
mana.
Yeah, she's a lot. Now we have General Kudro of Drannith. This isn't really a lore episode, but you told me about the lore of this card, Eli, recently, and he's pretty cool.
General
I think that's pretty
Kudro
cool.
is a badass.
He's just like this old kind of like old like military general who just doesn't really he's just like he's a hard ass is what he is. He's like getting things done, and I don't think he has much compassion for the animals on that.
Maybe this is why I'm a bad person, because like you're supposed to sympathize for like the animals and stuff in Ixalan, but or not Ixalan,
sorry, Ikoria.
But
he's kind of
humans,
a cool...
they're bottom of the food chain, and he's like, no, we're gonna fight back. And he's got his giant ballista in the background, and yeah, so he's a 3-mana 3/3 human soldier. Other humans you control get +1/+1. When he or another human enters the battlefield under your control, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard, and pay 2 mana, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. So, human tribal, but just incidental graveyard hate just for nothing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't even need to, you just play him immediately and you get one. Yeah, which is awesome. And he's got that, I think 2 mana and sacrifice 2 humans is a steep price to pay, but if what you're trying to get out of it is the +1/+1 for humans, that's kind of just like gravy, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that make human tokens too,
which helps. That helps,
and it doesn't say they have to be non-token. Like you can just make a bunch of tokens.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like if someone plays like a one-sided board wipe or something that will kill all creatures except for one of each player, you can just kind of be like, nope, you guys actually don't get your stuff because I have 4 mana open and I'll just sack my guys. I don't think he's amazing, but he can helm a humans deck. I'm not one to build tribal decks personally too much, Eli, but humans is one of those tribes where you really don't have to put bad cards in it to make a humans deck.
There's a lot of good humans, and we played a game the other day, and you were playing the humans precon from this year, and you played a spell that I've wanted to try out for a while, called the Copper Coats.
Yeah.
Which is an instant speed token maker that makes you a lot of tokens. So if you play that for its strive cost twice, 7 mana, you could probably make average probably 10 tokens.
You would pretty much make a 1/1 for each creature your opponents control if you pay 7 mana.
Yeah, and then so end step you do that, they
it's
become
instant,
2/2s, and then you can use his ability to sacrifice a couple of them, take your opponent's blockers out of the way, and then
swing in for big damage. Yeah, so that's a play pattern I can get behind. I'm down with him, but I don't think he's amazing. But I want to put him above Firja, and I think here. Do you think he's better than Daxos, Eli?
I think he's better than Daxos.
Damn.
Yeah, they're just being human tribal, but his abilities are
decent.
So good.
Yeah.
I think I like him a lot.
Well. Yeah, I'll put him above Daxos just for that incidental graveyard hate, because we all know graveyards gotta go. Yeah. Alright, now we got my boy. Not actually my boy. Ghost Council of Orzhova. This card is... let me read this for you guys if you're ready. This card is white, black for a 4/4 legendary creature spirit. So he goes in F tier. He doesn't have any other abilities. No, but in all seriousness, he does have other abilities, and they are... When he enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
You tickle somebody.
You get a third of an extort trigger. And then his other ability is pay 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, exile this card, and return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So you can pay 1 mana and sacrifice one of your other creatures to slow blink him to save him from removal or a board wipe.
And then you get to tickle somebody again.
And then when he comes back in, you get your 2/3 of a extort trigger. So honestly, this card doesn't do anything. The best thing you're gonna do with him is you're gonna play a board wipe, and you're gonna play your own board wipe and save your commander from your own board wipe. I don't think there's much else to be said about him, Eli. Do you have... There's a bit of a rant there, but I didn't even know this card existed before today.
Yeah, we were talking about this before, how I would want to think that having a sack outlet, there is some value in that, but when it costs even 1 mana...
It's so much worse.
It's not... you can't really do anything with that.
You could, play good cards in your deck, but this card is just not going to do anything other than be a 4-mana 4/4. That's not even... He's a 4-mana 4/4 that costs white, black.
Yeah.
When we talked about Haktos in the last episode, and I responded to a comment yesterday about how we probably were undervaluing Haktos a little bit, but
Haktos is way better than
Haktos is so much better than Ghost Council of Orzhova, especially for that 4 colored pip. So he's He, them, I think them.
I think
right?
I said something. I said something like Haktos will never kill me. Haktos could maybe kill me. A Ghost Council can't kill me. I'm resolving. It's not going to happen. I won't let it happen.
Eli, how much damage do you think Ghost Council's ability is going to do in a game? The activated ability. I'm thinking 3.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
3 damage, gain 3 life over the course of the entire game. Yeah. So, moving on from that, we actually have a good card.
Yeah, something that actually will do a lot of damage in a game.
Mm-hmm.
This is Kambal, Consul of Allocation, from, I believe, Kaladesh block?
I think Kaladesh, yeah.
Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, and he's a 2/3. People cast a lot of non-creature spells.
A lot of non-creature spells in Commander. And even just, like, even just playing him on 3 and throw out the course of 2 or 3 turns, he will end up, like, even triggering off of mana rocks and stuff like that, he will end up probably draining your opponents for a collective of probably 10 life or so, honestly. 8, 10 life over 3 turns or something, and you will gain that life too.
Yeah, like, Spencer, I don't like using spot removal on a creature unless I think it's, like, generating some kind of card advantage.
Yeah.
But I especially hate doing it to, like, a 3 CMC or less creature.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll kill a Kambal if I have to.
And I think most people would just kind of not think about that and be like, okay, this isn't actually doing anything. I'm just losing some life. They're not getting any cards out of it. They might get a couple life, but it's not that big of a deal unless they have like a thing that triggers off of them gaining life. So I think it's kind of under like it kind of flies under the radar a little bit unless you're very aware that this is actually just going to add up over time and kill me.
You will have turns where Kambal deals 6 damage to you.
And you're like, wow, this is actually really good. So I think Kambal is a solid A tier.
I think so.
I think right here, or maybe here. I probably here, right? Or
yeah.
Below Elenda and above Bird Guy.
Yeah.
So moving on from Kambal, we have Karlov of the Ghost Council. Another
Carl.
Yeah, Karl is was that other life gain commander I was referring to earlier that I couldn't remember the name of, but I think Karlov was from one of the precons.
He was in the Daxos deck.
Yeah, the Daxos precon, and I think he's much better than Daxos. Not saying Daxos is terrible, but
he is much better.
Even so, I've got a buddy who has a Karlov deck, and it's not even like super. It's not even like super souped out with like. It plays some tap lands and stuff, right? Like it's not like really fast to get out of the gates. But Karlov is a card where you just play Karlov on 2, and then you play like a life land or something, or like a Soul Sister, and then all of a sudden by turn 3, he's attacking for 6 damage or more.
Yeah, if you play turn 1 Soul Sister in a Karlov deck, you have a 10/10 Karlov.
It's kind of crazy, and then he just has that ability where you do have to get rid of some of the counters on him, but he can just exile any creature multiple times in a game.
The crazy thing is, if his life gain trigger was like put 1+1/+1 counter on him, that wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, but it's 2.
It's 2 per. And so when his ability says like remove 6 +1/+1 counters from him, people might think that seems like a lot, but it's really not.
No, so the thing is, like, let's say you go first or second in a commander game, right? And you go, and like no one has like a Soul Ring start or something, right? You just go Karlov on 2, and you play a life land on 3, nothing else, and then he's a 4/4. What's blocking that on turn 3?
Yeah.
He'll get in, right? I mean, unless someone has like a Death Touch creature or something, right? Like nothing's blocking that. So,
Spencer, if you had like a fast start with a Karlov deck, if you went like turn 1 like Sarah Ascendant and a turn 2 Karlov, you might just be able to like run somebody down with just straight up like normal combat.
My buddy that I was talking about has done that, and honestly, the way that those games end up playing out is Quinn is his name. He usually just does the thing where he's like, oh, I feel bad. I'm not gonna like kill somebody. I'm just gonna split up the damage as much as possible because I feel bad that what I'm doing is so strong. That's honestly what he does. So, and all it took was just a Sarah Ascendant in your hand, just one card.
Karlov being a 2-mana commander like Thrasios that you have to kill, I think that warrants an S tier for me.
I think Karlov is just kind of nuts, yeah. And like I've said about other cards on the Boros tier list, Karlov's a deck where you kind of just can play good cards in your deck. Like, obviously, you can play a couple lifelands to kind of double up on those triggers, right? Like the Angel whatever the Angel one is from original Innistrad, but something, whatever. There's something that gains 2 life when it enters or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like colorless land, whatever. And then like the tapped lifelands, but even just like playing something like a kind of a bad 3-mana talisman that taps and adds a mana and gains you a life, or like some other small lifelink creatures, or like ways to kind of get value out of life. Like, you're just playing good cards for the most part.
If you trigger his ability once a turn, it's good. Anything more than that is amazing.
Yeah. So he is our first S tier. I don't think our last. I think we're gonna have at least one more.
One more.
Yeah, but moving on, we have Killian, I think, right?
Yep, Killian, the Pink Duelist.
Killian's he's a cool card because he's unique in that he is an uncommon commander from the most recent set, and I think he's actually a decent bit stronger than a lot of the rare commanders we've had.
He's got really good stats and a pretty interesting ability.
And 2 keywords.
Yeah,
so
he's a 2/2 lifelink and menace, and spells you cast that target a creature card cost 2 less to cast.
Yeah, so remember how I was talking earlier about how much I love all these Orzhov, Utter End cards, which are 4 mana or 3 mana or whatever, and they're really then they can remove any kind of creature or permanent in play. Those are now 1 mana or 2 mana now. So
yeah, like Utter End becomes really good at 2 mana.
Yeah.
So yeah, he doesn't give you a card advantage, but like 2 less is a significant mana discount.
I think in this kind of deck you would try to pack the card advantage into... You'd probably play a lot of card advantage and a lot of like single target removal.
I caught a few minutes of a MTG Goldfish Commander Clash game, and Tomer was playing this, and he built like a budget Auras deck, like making your
because your Auras do
making
cost
your
less.
Sage's Reverie cost 2 mana
and drawing good 4 cards or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I like that a lot. I think he's maybe
I think solid
maybe
B
tier.
I think solid B, maybe here below Athreos, above Athreos.
I think so.
Yeah, I like Killian quite a bit, and I think he's kind of the epitome of the kind of ink mage theme you have in what is it?
Yeah, he's like both sides of it, because like the white side of that is like supporting your allies and like building up your friends, and like the black part is like insulting your enemies and like tearing them down.
And that's what the targeting your own creatures and then targeting your opponent's creatures kind of fits into that. So that's pretty cool, I think. So this next card is actually one that I know I talk a lot, guys, but this is one that I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for. This is Kunoros, Hound. Oh, we're not actually there. That we're of Krav. Okay, I'm skipping to it. We're at the Hound of Athreos, and this is a Cerberus kind of inspired card from Help Me Out,
Greek
Eli.
mythology.
Yeah. What's the set though?
This was from Theros Beyond Death.
Thank you. You think I would remember that because Theros is probably my favorite set, but I don't remember the new one's name. But this is cool. It's pretty thematic because it's 3 mana for a 3/3 with 3 keywords. There's 3 heads, so that's kind of like the thing there. Vigilance, Menace, and Lifelink, and he has creature cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and players can't cast spells from graveyards. Do you want to talk about this card for a little bit, Eli? Because I feel like I'm going to have a lot to say, and I want you to give you a chance.
I hate it. It's too much. It's too much graveyard hate.
Yeah,
that's very strong, and I don't think you pass the vanilla test better than this. Right?
This card is just the epitome of like not doing a lot, but everything it does is just efficient and like extra. Like it's just like it doesn't do anything like super impactful, but it's like it's 3 mana 3/3, and it has vigilance, and it has menace, and it has lifelink, and it's incidental graveyard hate. Like. So it's just like gravy on gravy on gravy on like mediocre cards. So when you add enough gravy to the card, it ends up being actually kind of good.
Yeah, and it is symmetrical. So like we were saying about Orzhov decks in the graveyard, it's gonna shut you off. But if you just wanted to make like an Orzhov like Hate Bears deck, this would be a really good commander.
This is what I would go for if I wanted to build Orzhov.
So like
Hate
my
Bears.
Orzhov Tajik.
Yeah. like you said, Eli, unfortunately, you don't get to play the best black card. Hot take here: best black card, Reanimate, in your Kunoros deck. But
or maybe you still can though.
You probably
maybe
still can.
Maybe you get a board wipe happens and he's not around anymore. You can like sacrifice him or like trade him away into a bad block or like attack into somebody, and then so you can like choose when you play it, I guess. So maybe you play a couple of those cards. 3
sharp barks announce an attempt to escape the underworld. 3 sharp bites end it. That's pretty good flavor text.
That's pretty good.
But that being said, I'm not fronting here. I don't think he's amazing. So I think he's a C tier. Eli, is that too low? You think?
Highest C tier.
Highest above your boy.
Yeah.
Okay. But
I think so.
I haven't built a deck with him, but I've thought about it a lot of times. And speaking of cards that I've thought about building a deck a lot of times, we're skipping this again because I forgot about it and going straight to Liesa, which is a deck that I've been meaning to build and been building, on the side, but kind of just procrastinating it because this is a card that I love.
We've workshopped a lot of ideas for like a Liesa deck or kind of brainstormed some things, and and eventually I cracked and I really wanted to play Shadric Silverquill, so I ended up building that as my most recent deck. But I was really hyped about Liesa too, so hopefully we can maybe we'll do that stream at some point.
Well, maybe might do a live build of a live stream build or something we can upload to YouTube too of Liesa building. But
so she is a 5-mana 5/5, and she has this really really cool ability. Rather than pay 2 for each previous time you've cast the spell from your command zone this game, you pay 2 life that many times. So her commander attacks never cost more than she never costs more than 5 mana. She's just going to cost you life, and that's really really cool.
And she's got lifelink on her, so she makes her
flying lifelink
5/5 for 5. That passes the vanilla test with flying colors.
Yeah, and she says whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So that is symmetrical. It's going to hurt you too, but you're probably gaining 5 life every turn. And that adds up a lot. It's like we were saying about Kambal dealing so much damage. This is any spell.
Yeah, all spells that they cast, and so this kind of immediately turns off anyone who's trying to storm off super hard, where they want to cast 10 spells in a turn because they're just going to lose 20 life and not be able to do that.
So like I was saying about Kambal, how I might kill him, I think you got to kill Liesa too, right? But she always costs 5 mana.
So it's this. I mean, I guess if you can pressure their life total enough, but the idea with Liesa is, you probably don't want to go too hard on life gain, but you get to play some pretty solid, lifelink creatures. Like, for example, we just put the Cerberus down here. I think I would play that in a Liesa deck, just because it's got menace and lifelink and can always get in.
She's so scary. She's like the freaking Terminator.
Yeah, and I've talked about this before, but my dream curve is to play that 3 mana 2/3 angel that whenever you play a cleric or angel spell, whenever a cleric or angel enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to its toughness, and then if you have, I believe, 5 more life than your starting life total, your creatures get +2/+2 or something like that.
Yeah, the angel from Kaldheim.
I can't remember what it's called, but you play that on turn 3 into Firja's Judgment. You might have to have more life than that, but whatever. Into Firja's Judgment on turn 4, which makes a 4/4 angel, into Liesa on turn 5, and then the turn after that, when you get to attack, your Firja's Judgment kind of
I think it gives all your stuff double strike.
It gives all your
angels.
angels double strike, and you're attacking for. Man, I didn't do the math, but I think it's at least 30 damage or 26 damage or something.
It's a lot. So that's not even saying the deck doesn't have to be an angel tribal deck. It's just you're playing white and black.
Those are good cards.
You've got good angels.
So
they just play. So
that was a bit long-winded of an explanation, but that specific sequence of 2 cards and then your commander just kind of makes my heart. I've said this before. Makes my heart turn a little bit in a good way. So, Eli, I want to put Liesa in A tier. I want to put her right here.
Yeah, I think she's probably better than Breena.
Yeah, I want to put her right there. I love her, even though she is 5 mana, a bit expensive.
But she's always 5.
But she's always.
If you played a 5 mana commander, 5 to 7 to 9 is bad.
Yeah.
But 5, she's 5 every time. I love that ability.
Yeah.
I can't get over that. That's really cool.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna forget about Krav and Regna. Regna.
Yep.
Anymore.
Regna and Krav.
Regna and Krav. Yep. For some reason, the black one, the Krav, was the one I chose for this instead of the white one, for the Boros episode. But I digress on that. So they're partners with each other, so that's why we include them on this, because they can only be played. They can't partner with any other colored partners.
Yeah, you could build a mono black or a mono white deck, but I would say why would you? But Krav is actually so good that you could just put him by himself and he'd be like that good.
Yeah, so Krav is a 5-mana 3/3, and he says you can pay black and sacrifice X creatures, and then target player draws X cards and gains X life, where X is the number of creatures that you sacrificed. Or sorry, the number, and you put that many counters on him too, right?
Yeah, so he gets huge.
Yep, and you draw like a million cards, and then that seems like you have to kind of like play a certain way to get those tokens or whatever. But Regna kind of pairs with him perfectly because she is a 4/4 that makes you tokens, right?
She's 6 mana though.
So
they're pretty expensive, but on each end step, even your opponent's end steps, if you gain life this turn, you create 2/1/1 White Warrior creature tokens. So if you just we're gonna say this a lot this episode, but Soul Sisters. If you have a Soul Sister out with Regna and Krav, you make a lot of tokens, you gain a lot of life.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Krav, you draw so many cards.
Yeah, the thing with Regna and Krav is they do cost a lot of mana, but if you get them both out at the same time and end up being able to untap, you just have this insane engine going on that you can always kind of get.
Yeah, it needs to be stopped.
Every black mana you have can end up drawing you multiple cards, putting multiple counters on Krav, getting you multiple soldiers.
Yeah, they're very strong. Notably, we were talking about our friend Quinn earlier with his Karlov deck. He plays these in the 99. If you play these in the 99, partner with tutors up the other half of your partners, so they become effectively a 2-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. And my friend, I've got a friend from Fergus Falls that actually had this deck for a while, and maybe still does, but it was really strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you play them in your command zone, you get to go for the shuffle if you want to.
You can go for the shuffle. Yeah, if you play one, you do have the option to shuffle your library.
You can search your library for a card that is not in it if you want to. And that's relevant sometimes, actually. But
you just want to check. You want to make sure
you want to make sure
I didn't have an extra one in there or something.
Yeah, I'm not cheating, am I? But that being said, you have a kind of a cap on how good your commanders can be when they're 5 and 6 mana, right?
Yeah, because like we said, they're both out. It's really good. It's like a crazy engine. But if you get board wiped,
oh no,
it really sucks.
You'll just lost 11 mana worth of stuff.
So much tempo loss.
And it's going to cost you 15 to get them both out again. Oh.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I want to put them in, I like B tier, right?
Yeah.
Maybe here? Or here?
I think they're better than Killian,
okay,
personally.
I'm down with that.
But I think that's a good spot.
I think Killian has a better floor, but these have a better ceiling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they are so strong.
Yeah. Alright, so next we have Lurrus of the Dream Den. Notably as a commander, not as a companion, because they ruined companion in Commander. By adding, it had to happen because companion was so broken in other formats, but I think they...
Well, and who got it in trouble? Lurrus.
It was Lurrus.
Who was the culprit?
So there were several companions that were very strong in other formats, but Lurrus, I think, was the... Well, I guess Gyurda was, I think, pretty powerful in Legacy and Vintage. Gyurda, right? That's the Loch Ness Monster one, right?
Yeah.
But Lurrus was the most, I think one of the most egregious for sure.
Yeah, well, it turns out people like to play permanents that cost 2 or less mana.
It turns out Yawgmoth's Will is a pretty good card, right, Eli?
I've heard that.
On a commander, right? Especially when you can play, I think in Legacy they'd play, Lotus Petals and Sign Diamonds and stuff off this.
Yeah, I've heard those are good cards, too. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I haven't seen anyone play a Lurrus commander deck in person or online myself, but I'm very optimistic at it being pretty strong, and just being able to rebuy your value creatures or other things seems good.
Yeah, because, worst case scenario, he's the 3-mana 3/2 lifelink. On each of your turns, you can cast one permanent spell with CMC 2 or less from your graveyard.
And that's kind of like draw a card, right? I mean, it's not exactly, but...
It effectively, ups you a card every turn. So, you can play... I think maybe one of the times I saw him in Commander, somebody was playing, one of those baubles or something that like draws you a card. So he just becomes like a Phyrexian Arena with
Yeah.
that. And like playing something like Nihil Spellbomb and using it to draw a card every turn.
Yeah.
It's just like fine.
Or even a card like Tormod's Crypt, where it doesn't really see play in a lot of commander decks just because it ends up not being not being efficient enough. Just being able to, kind of... So one thing, this kind of, just a quick tangent, one thing about Impulsive Draw in red is that it's kind of bad when you hit something that, you have something else you want to do in your turn, so you don't get to make use of that Impulsive Draw because, you had something in your hand that you wanted to play. The cool thing with cards like Tormod's Crypt is that if you hit those off Impulsive Draw, or in this case, Loris having it in your graveyard, you always have the mana to pay 0. You can always do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, like you said, Eli, like spell bombs that cost 1, or Lotus Petal that costs 0.
You can also set up engines with like Executioner's Capsule, Dispeller's Capsule, or like the seals that like their Seal of Cleansing destroys an artifact or enchantment. I don't think you could do the black one because it's 3 mana, but just stuff like that, being able to destroy like a permanent once every turn. Something like a
one of those clerics, that Selfless Spirit that sacrifices to give your board indestructible to save Luris, then you can cast it again.
Yeah, I think he's really cool. He's a little baby Sun Titan.
I think it might be a little bit crazy to put Luris in S tier, so I'm not going to.
I think he's definitely an A.
I think he's an A tier. Do you think below Kambal or above Kambal or above Elenda?
I think he's maybe better than Kambal. I think if I was playing against a Luris deck, like if I had a gun with 1 bullet and I had to shoot Kambal or Luris, I'd shoot Luris. Because
Luris just kind of seems like it's going to do something more broken than Kambal. Kambal is very fair, and it's attrition. I guess Luris is also attrition, but Luris seems like it kind of gets you in a situation where it's kind of just got a lock on you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. It might even be more than Elenda, but I think Elenda's got enough clout with her that we can leave her up there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. This could be right, but we'll leave it at this.
They're very close. Like, if anything, maybe they're like right at the same spot.
Yeah. So now we have... surprisingly, we haven't had many D or F tiers, which is surprising because...
I think we might have another, though.
We do. I thought there would be more of these, but I guess they're coming, right?
Yeah.
But now we have Obzedat, Ghost Council, of the Ghost Council, or just Ghost Council, or whatever he is.
Yep, just Ghost Council.
He is the Ghost Council. He's not of the Ghost Council. It's all of them, right?
Yep.
They're all...
The whole gang.
The whole spirit conglomerate. But, unlike the other one down here, this one is 5 mana for a 5/5 instead of 4 mana for a 4/4. And similar ability, when he enters, he drains someone for 2.
It's not a tickle, it's like a poke.
Yep, a little bit more. But Obzedat has the ability where at the beginning of your end step, you can exile him, and then if you do, return to the battlefield on your upkeep, and it gains haste that turn. So to blink himself, very, very, very slow blink, because it's not around for any of your opponent's turns. It doesn't cost you any mana, or more importantly, the sacrifice of another creature.
Yeah, so if you just like feel like somebody's going to board wipe you, or you just don't want it to get removed, you can just blink it out. Or if you don't care about like having a blocker up, you just do that, and then the next turn he comes back with haste, so you're not missing out on that attack, and then you get to poke somebody again.
That being said, historically, Obzedat was, I believe, played a little bit in Standard when he was legal, in the Return to Ravnica era. Mm-hmm. But just as kind of like this kind of like attrition-y threat that would end up killing your opponent eventually. But I don't think in Commander it's really doing enough to warrant that as a Commander choice.
It's just a beater.
Is it F tier? I think it's F tier. Above this one, or is it just the worst D tier? It might have to go up.
Maybe top of F tier. I just don't see why anyone would play it as a commander.
It, like we said, I mean, it's a 5 mana 5/5, but so it does have that ability of just being able to exist, but it wants you to exile itself, so it can't really block.
Like, it's not like offensively bad. It's just like I don't see, like, maybe you just really like it, but I think you'd be better off playing almost any other or like random Orzhov commander.
Well, at least this Obsidian has text on it, whereas the other Obsidian, sorry, I keep calling this Obsidian. This is not Obsidian. They're just both Ghost Council.
Yeah, it's weird that I didn't think they made vanilla Legends.
I didn't think that. Yeah, since Legends, I haven't seen a vanilla legendary creature.
Cool. It was a bold design choice, though.
Yeah, really weird, but
this is a bad meme.
It's not very funny. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me if you are a big fan of.
Cringing right now.
If you're cringing and you like this card, I'm sorry. I honestly apologize. But now you've got Aura, Skyclave Hierophant. Do you want to talk about him, Eli?
Yeah, he's a 4-mana 3/3 with lifelink. That's a strictly better hill giant.
Let's go.
Then whenever he or another cleric dies, return target cleric with lesser CMC from your graveyard to the battlefield. So cleric tribal.
Yeah, this was in the this was in the party set, right?
Yep, Zendikar Rising.
So, and they did include a decent amount of clerics in that set that are in these colors. I mean, I guess in all colors, but especially in white and black. That's kind of the cleric colors.
Yeah. So is this is this quite the same as
Soul Shift, right?
I'm thinking of that like Scrap Trawler.
Oh,
it's kind of like a Scrap Trawler for clerics, right?
Scrap Trawler returns it to your hand, though. This is to the battlefield.
So
this is Soul Shift. This is Soul Shift for Kamigawa, I believe.
So it's kind of neat. There's probably some cool stuff you can do, like sacrifice your Selfless Spirit or your Remorseful Cleric and get back your Mother of Runes.
Yeah, notably, I've said before, Eli, and you know this, I'm not a big tribal fan, but like Cleric is one of the tribes that I think incidentally just have a decent number of good cards.
So
honestly.
many Clerics. I feel like I play mostly white, and I feel like Cleric is maybe your second or third most supported creature type.
It's like Human, Soldier, Cleric in the order or something.
Yeah, because you got the Human as a race, but as far as subtypes.
Yep.
Soldier, Cleric, and actually, yeah, those are probably the top two.
Maybe Angel at some point.
Yeah, you got Angels. But yeah, there's a lot of clerics. A lot of good clerics too. A lot of
good clerics and a lot of decent clerics. So if you really want to go, you can just play the best ones, or you can just go like critical mass and not be too upset. That being said, you do need to have them die or have some way to put them in your graveyard, which will just happen in the game.
Yeah, you'll play some sack outlets, or you can just play Skull Clamp too.
Yeah, one thing that we haven't mentioned at all in this episode that we probably should have at some point is that one of the key strategies of the Orzhov colors is to be kind of like a mono white deck, except you have access to a ton of ways to drain your opponent of life. So kind of like the Aristocrat-y, Zulaport, Cutthroat, Blood Artist kind of things, as well as big black life draining spells like Expropriate, and big black win the game spells like Rise the Dark Realms.
You're kind of a mono white deck with more reach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and ability to reanimate. That's also the other way you can go with it. But so that being said, this is definitely a deck that you'd probably want to build with those aristocrat-y themes, right?
I think so.
And some of the best things you do in aristocrats decks is you're able to draw a card when you kind of, if you have like the Midnight Reapers of the world with this card, you can kind of go, and a sack outlet, you can kind of like go through the chain, go from like 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 and draw a card each time.
Yeah.
So I don't hate Aura. I'm not a big, tribal guy, but
C tier.
Maybe
like above General Kudro.
Maybe here.
I think its ability is stronger than General Kudro.
Yeah, I think there. Okay, I'm down with that. Now we've got Ravos, our first of the two partner commanders that have partners with anybody, and the worst one. Not that he's bad or anything, but
yeah, he's not bad. I've actually one of my friends used to play a Ravos and Thrasios 4-color blink deck.
Mm-hmm.
And Ravos was just kind of like there, but he was also pretty cool. He's 5-mana 2/2, flying. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. On your upkeep, you can return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's like pretty good card advantage. I mean, it's a little expensive, but
he's an Anthem mixed with kind of a Fraction Arena. It's not draw a card, it's return a creature from your graveyard, but it's kind of like, when you mash up a Spear of Heliod and a Phyrexian Arena, like, that's kind of a decent card.
Yeah, he has an immediate impact and a later impact, so I don't think there's that much to say about him. Like, you could do cool things with, like we were talking about with aura creatures that sacrifice themselves and just, like, keep looping that. Or just, like, creatures are going to die. You're going to have dead creatures by turn 5 probably, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
You just, like, play them after a board wipe and then use it to rebuild. So,
go ahead, Eli.
I was thinking maybe, like C tier.
Yeah, I think he's up. He's probably, well, he has... Should we give him the partner buff? Of being a partner and being able to have another card in your command zone just to be better, or should we not give him that partner buff? Because I think without it, he's like here.
Because I don't think you would play
you wouldn't play just Ravos, right?
But like if you want to play an Orzhov deck, you could add any other mono white partner. You could add Tymna.
Like for example, there's a couple. I would say before this new Commander Legends set, you really only had Tana the Bloodsower as kind of like a tokens theme card. But in the new Commander Legends set, there's a couple mono white commanders that have like that either make tokens or care about tokens that you can kind of build this as a tokens deck.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to put them up at the top of C tier if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure. Next, just because you can play them with other cards.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got Sarah Angel next. Let's go.
She's not even. She's a 3/3. She's a 5-mana 3/3 with flying.
Oh shoot! I thought not even
Selenia,
Sarah Angel.
Dark Angel. You can pay 2 life, though, to bounce her back to your hand.
From the battlefield.
And you could do that a bunch of times.
You could activate, you could hold priority and activate it enough times to kill yourself or put you to 1.
You know, she's actually the more famous near-death experience commander, Spencer.
Oh, that's true.
Than Queen Marchesa, but they're all doing it wrong. Because I like red.
So this is probably one of the better commanders to play if you're going for that that theme of... let's actually play a reverse game of Commander where the goal is to kill yourself. Because you can play Necropotence in the deck, and your commander has that ability to kill yourself too. So,
well, you can do stuff like, like I said, near-death experience or Repay in Kind, where 7 mana each player's life total becomes the lowest life total.
There's that new big, like, 9 mana black spell that's like you swap life totals with somebody, and then you make an XX where it's the difference. Yeah.
So, I really love my Marchesa deck. It's a near-death experience deck, and I think I'm going to go out on a limb. I think it's a good deck. I think that is the hardest way to win in Commander that is possible, aside from like Baron Glory, the cheese stands alone. So I'd give it an F tier.
I would give it bottom of F tier.
Yeah, because at least Marchesa draws you cards.
At least the Ghost Council's a vanilla 4/4 for 4. She's a 3/3 with flying for 5. I think that's worse than a 4/4 for 4. And so the best thing that she ends up doing is you pay 2 life and you save her from a board wipe, and then what? You cast her again? I think if you're casting her, you're in a bad spot.
Yeah, at least 4 mana Ghost Council can save itself from a board wipe and not have to
cast itself
pay for it again.
Yeah, I don't want to cast her once, let alone the second time.
Yeah.
So she offends me. Now we got Eli.
My guy.
Your guy. Your new commander.
Shadrick Silverquill.
Although,
this is my favorite.
I have to say, just for a moment there, Eli is actually right now. He's looking at me in the command, or sorry, the EDH takes. I was going to say command zone studio. I'm fucking crazy. In the EDH takes studio, he's staring at me saying, "Spencer, you put the wrong art of this card on the freaking tier list because." Eli really likes the other art.
I'm also saying, Spencer, don't tell them we're in their studio. Right? They're all gone. All right, don't let them know.
they're okay. But moving on from that cringe, Eli, you want to talk about Shadrick's?
Yeah, he's a 5 mana 2/5 Elder Dragon with flying and double strike. So really good stats, I think, in my opinion. Double strike's really good. Flying is good. At the beginning of your combat, though, you may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Either target player creates a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature with flying, target player draws a card and loses a life, or target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I've seen said about this card is like, oh, he's like an Orzhov group hug or like politics deck. You make friends with people and stuff. So we played a game last night where I had a really good start. I played a turn 2... I had turn 1 Soul Ring and a turn 2 Dark Ritual play Shadrick's. I only gave up a resource to an opponent a total of 3 times, and he was out, what did we say, like 80% of the game.
He was out for like 12 turns.
There was actually this really funny thing that kept happening. One of our friends was playing a Rakdos the Showstopper deck, where you flip a coin for every creature and like it randomly kills them.
And he was doubling the activations
and he had
too.
Conjurer's Closet and a Surrounding Resonator. And he did that about 4 or 5 times. Shadrix survived every time. So you might not know this, but Shadrix cannot be killed by Rakdos the Showstopper.
Yeah, 10
just so you know.
Somewhere between 8 and 10 times it survived in a row.
Yeah.
And it only died later in the game when you had to chump block when I was swinging at you for...
When I swung at you by attacking with a bunch of
Promise.
11, huge 10 plus power creatures.
They got buffed, yeah. But... so yeah, like you said, Eli, I want to just forget the whole concept of this card being a group hug card because it's not even close to what it is. You could play it like that, but I don't even want to take that into consideration.
So what I did is, in the middle, the early parts and even later in the game after some board wipes and removal and stuff, I would choose I draw a card and lose a life, or I create an Inkling, and I choose a player that has no creatures out and say, hey, you can have +1/+1 counters on all your creatures. Or even if they have one creature out, and you're like, you have a +1/+1 counter.
Yeah, I think
I'm getting a card.
I think you gave someone a +1/+1 counter on their the 1/6 flying wall.
I think the only things I had to give up, I gave away a total of maybe 3 +1/+1 counters, and an Inkling over the course of at least 6 or 7 turns that it was out.
Yeah, and the +1/+1 counters never ended up mattering. The Inkling, I don't think, did much. So this card is just a big double strike creature that draws a card every turn. At the worst and at the best, it's pumping your wide board to kill somebody or creating the blockers you need to survive.
Yeah. So in that game, because of my start with the Dark Ritual, I was down cards and then my Soul Ring got destroyed. And then I missed some land drops. So I think I gave myself the card almost every turn. Maybe I made an Inkling once or twice. I don't think I ever did the counters.
But that was because you were trying to hit a land drop.
But if I was... Yeah, I was trying to hit land drops. So if I was having a stronger start and was able to just make a couple Inklings and then put +1/+1 counters on them, that would have been a win condition within itself. It'd be an army and a can plus an Anthem.
Well, yeah, and your Shadrix, it's not really that blockable for most decks. It just kind of deals 4 a couple times, and then all of a sudden you start putting counters on it and dealing 6, and they have to be scared. It's a lot.
Yeah, and it's honestly so amazing, too, that he triggers immediately, on your combat, so it's not like a Phyrexian Ring where you have to wait until the next turn. You get at least a card back the turn you play him.
Yeah. So, Shadrix, I want to say A tier. I'm not sure where, but A tier. I think above Liesa. Maybe here. What do you think, Eli? Below Liesa? It's somewhere in this range, these 3.
I think maybe just right above Liesa or below Liesa.
Sure. About the same as Liesa, though.
I think they're very similar, but at the same time, I had a very fortunate experience where...
It didn't die, right?
My Shadrix was nigh unkillable. But if Shadrix dies once or twice...
Your results may vary,
Yeah.
So...
But the worst case scenario is you play him and you immediately draw the card. And my deck is just kind of a good stuff deck, and he's a curve filler, so... But then later in the game, maybe you have a big board and you need to play him for 7 mana, and you just immediately give your board +1/+1. So that's fine, I think. So I'd put him middle A tier right now.
We'll put him below Liesa.
I'll put him below Liesa.
Just because Liesa has that mode of always being 5 mana. That's kind of the thing that pushes it above. But about the same, I would say.
Yeah.
This is... I don't know the name of this card. This is Ayli, Dean of Radiance. How would you pronounce this card, Eli?
I like Shaylee now.
Yeah?
Because that sounds like a real name.
Yeah, and also Embros, Dean of Shadow on the backside. This is an MDFC commander with pretty unassuming abilities, I think, but kind of actually relevant, Eli, right? You want to talk about the first side?
Yeah, Shaylee's pretty decent. It's definitely not Shaylee.
I know it's not Shaylee.
I'm going to call her Shaylee.
Yeah.
She's a 2-mana 1/1 with Flying and Vigilance. Tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So it kind of reminds me of Mikaeus the Lunarch.
Mm-hmm.
I play that in my Tajik deck, and it's pretty decent. It's kind of a weird kind of anthem for your board, so that's kind of nice, and you can attack with her and then
still activate it because it has vigilance.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's 2 mana, so that's good.
If you're ever to give her haste or something with a Greaves, she can put the counter on herself. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But the other side, is opening up my phone, Embrose. And Embrose is a 4-mana 4/4 with tap, put a +1/+1 counter on another creature, and then Embrose deals 2 damage to that creature. And it also has the ability when a creature you control with a counter on it dies, a +1/+1 counter, draw a card. So this kind of has 2 things that it does. It's able to just kind of ping down your opponent's 1 toughness creatures because it puts a counter on them, then deals 2 damage to them. Or it's able to kind of kill your own 1 toughness creatures and then draw a card off of it.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
4-mana 4/4, draws you cards, puts counters on stuff, maybe kills things. I think that's all pretty good.
Yeah, and it fits that it's a bird cleric and a human warlock, so it fits all of your creature types that you might need to get in your random synergy. So, not that really matters, but I don't think it's like I said, it's a little unassuming. It's not like super pushed or whatever, but I think it's solid enough to just fit in the B tier. I don't know if I can put a modal DFC commander below B tier. I don't know if I can do it. Cause
maybe when we get to Simic.
Yeah, maybe so, but we'll have to wait and see. But I want to say
maybe bottom of B tier.
Yeah, just at the end, the very end.
Got some pretty strong Bs.
Yeah, sure, right there. We'll do it. What do we have next year? Ooh, Teysa.
It's your girl.
Envoy of Ghosts. This is the Orzhov deck that I built a while ago, a year or 2 ago. And I kind of just built it as like a pretty casual, like cards I own, whatever, just want to play in the deck.
Good stuff.
Lots of good removal, and like I actually built it as kind of like a critical mass board wipe and single target removal deck. So I played like a bunch of mana rocks and like all of like the planar cleansing type effects.
It kind of reminded me of my Gisela deck that's like just a control deck, and then you have like this big finisher in your command zone.
Yeah.
But you don't like just run her out immediately.
Mm-hmm. So she's a 7-mana 4/4 with Vigi and protection from creatures, which is a little bit strange. We don't see protection very often these days. It's a little bit older, but a thing they do. And she has the ability of when a creature hits you, when it deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature, and you get a 1/1 spirit with flying.
Yeah, so No Mercy is a very strong old card.
Mm-hmm.
And having that on a commander is really cool because it's hard to attack the person with Teysa because pro creatures means she can't be dealt damage by creatures, and she has vigilance. So you attack into somebody, they can't block you, and then she blocks anything and doesn't take damage. And then whatever does get through gets killed.
And you get the spirit there.
And then you get a spirit.
Yeah. So, I mean, her ability is great, and she does do that kind of, that disincentivizing your opponents from being able to kind of get in at you. But she does have that kind of that sin of a commander card of being 7 mana and not doing. I mean, she kind of does something immediately, but she doesn't she doesn't kill anything or do anything or like affect the board other than just kind of protecting yourself.
Yeah. So we were talking about this the other day, and I was trying to make the argument like comparing her to Gisela, who we gave an S tier, but I think we would definitely say Teysa's not an S tier, and we'd maybe even put her pretty low.
Mm-hmm. So,
Spencer, if you want to make your arguments again for like why Teysa is like so much worse than
Gisela.
And not that we're comparing lists, I'm just saying like if we're saying Gisela would be
S tier.
We said she was like really good, but this is like it's kind of like I thought it was kind of like Gisela because it's 7 mana, it comes down, and it's very impactful on the board.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 7 mana.
So the thing with a Gisela deck is, in a Gisela deck, what you're doing when you're playing Gisela is you're playing Gisela and capitalizing off of the board you have to immediately put pressure on your opponent to attack that combat and do a ton of damage to opponents while also protecting yourself. The way that Teysa works is that you kind of just like play her as a defensive tool, and it doesn't really put any pressure on your opponents. Outside of next turn attacking for 4 vigilance, which that's going to take a long time to meaningfully matter.
Yeah, she's not like a win condition. Really.
Especially when a lot of decks in Commander these days don't really care about attacking that much. I mean, people will attack, but they have ways to win that don't involve hitting you. Mm-hmm. Or if they do need to hit you, they can hit you and kill you. And then, they might lose some creatures, but if you die, you die.
Yeah.
So I as someone who played Teysa for quite a bit, and the deck wasn't great, even in the situations where you come down to a 1v1 at the end and you're low on cards, Teysa takes several turns to kill somebody, 6 turns of attacking, 7 turns when you cast her.
Do you think maybe top of D tier?
I think top of D tier. I don't think she's very good at all.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not, but she's really cool. So we'll give her the win in spirit. No pun intended. Now we have Teysa number 2.
We're in the Teysa zone now.
3 Teysas that exist, and they're all right next to each other because they're all Teysa.
I think it's weird that the last one was the one to just be straight up her name, like Teysa Karlov.
Teysa Karlov, yeah.
They did that with like Elspeth too, where like first Elspeth was Elspeth Knight Errant, and then the second Elspeth was Elspeth Tourette, like their actual name.
Yeah, which is
I think that's kind of strange, but
that they wouldn't do it in the opposite order, right? Where the first one is just But that's fine.
This one is a really popular commander. 4 mana, 2/4. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, and creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink.
Yeah, so this is really the kind of one of the aristocrat themed things that I was mentioning earlier, right? Because when you have your dies triggers that ping people or whatever, having that happen double the amount of times kind of really does add up, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're drawing cards off of it. Drawing 2 cards instead of 1 every time something dies makes a big deal.
And you're gonna want tokens in aristocrat decks, so
for sure,
giving them vigilance and lifelink. Pretty good.
Yeah, usually you wouldn't expect the lifelink to matter because you think tokens are small, but if you're doing something like making angel tokens where they're 4/4s and pretty big, there's a couple cards that make X8 4/4 angels, or for example that new Blot Out the Sky, I think it's called, that makes a bunch of inkling tokens. You can end up making 6 or 7 or 8 2/1 flying inkling tokens that all can gain you 16 life.
Even with a 1/1, like blocking with lifelink creatures is really nice.
Yeah,
because it makes it so if somebody attacks you with like one big creature and you chump block it with a lifelink creature, you actually went like up life on that exchange. Mm-hmm. So like being able to swing in your lifelink token into somebody who's open, gain a life, and then still be able to chump block with that token and gain another life. I think that's pretty relevant.
Yeah. That being said, I think she is a bit of an overrated commander. Or maybe not overrated, but I think people, see her as more of a threat than she actually is, because she does require you to have, your creatures die. That happens, but like, if she dies herself, you don't really get any value out of it, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
do you think like
I think somewhere B tier, honestly.
Like
that might be
behind
crazy.
Ayli?
Yeah, I think here.
Like towards the top of B tier?
Yeah. I think so. Which is surprising because, you might see this and you might think, okay, this is a high A tier or an S tier commander, but I don't think so quite as much. I think I'd be happier building these decks over her. So now we have Teysa Numero Tres.
Orzhov Scion, the OG.
Mm-hmm. And I think the best of the Teysas.
I think
for sure.
3 mana, 2/3, sack 3 white creatures, exile target creature, and whenever another black creature you control dies, you get a 1/1 white spirit creature token flying.
So the first thing that you should think about, or you should be aware of when playing against or playing with a Teysa deck, is that it's kind of a combo machine. There are so many cards that will go infinite with Teysa.
Yeah, anything like Darkest Hour or now like a Painter's Servant that makes your creatures black.
Yep.
Will make it so you sack a creature, you get another creature immediately.
Yep, and you just kill everyone with a Blood Artist effect.
Yeah.
So that's immediately the first thing you see. The second thing that you see is that you can kind of just play a value game where you just play like good Orzhov little dudes that will incrementally draw you cards or get you value, and then you sacrifice them to remove your opponent's creatures, to exile them, and then you end up replacing them with tokens.
Yeah, and then you get to sacrifice the tokens and exile a creature.
Excuse me, sorry. Notably, if you play cards that are both black and white, you get both of the effects of this.
Mm-hmm.
So that, or sorry, not both the effects, but like you can
sack
you
it,
can
and
sack
then you'll
it,
also get a spirit,
and they'll get the spirit. Yeah. So I don't know how much we have to say about Teysa other than that it's just like quite good, right?
I think she might be the other S tier.
Do you think she's just better than Karlov, or what do you? I don't know where to put her.
I think she's a little scarier than Karlov.
Yeah, I mean, when you see a Teysa in the command zone, you just have to be ready to maybe just die on turn 4 to a combo. That's what with the low CMC commanders that have combos that are also low CMC are always the scariest.
Yeah, and so even if they're not doing the combo thing, if it turns out they're not going for that, amongst these, like, there's several of these Orzhov commanders that are just like removal on a stick, and you compare like their price points, and I think hers might be the best because there's no timing restriction on it. There's no mana restriction on it. You just have to sacrifice 3 white creatures, and that might seem like a lot, but if you just have like a few tokens out and like you have a way of like repeatedly putting tokens into play every turn.
Yeah, if you just play a Lingering Souls, you can do that and flash it back, get 4 tokens that end up making more tokens when they die. Well, like, they don't make tokens because they're white.
Karlov is probably the second easiest one but he also has to have a certain amount of counters on it, so you can't you couldn't maybe immediately do that, but you could like play her out into your board and immediately sack 3 creatures and exile a thing, whereas like Ayli or Karlov might not be able to do that.
Yeah. So far, I think we're putting her as the best Orzhov commander.
Yep.
Yep.
I like her a lot.
So moving on, we have a card that I don't remember the name
Elise, Reverent Medium, from Commander Legends.
Also an uncommon, notable, but she is no 2-drop uncommon. She's a 5-drop uncommon, and usually those aren't as good.
Yeah, she's a 3/4, but she's got a cool thing here. On each end step, you create X/1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of creature tokens you created this turn. So that's cool. It's each end step, so it stacks with multiplayer, which is really how I think they should design cards for Commander. I don't like it when they just make a card like super pushed, but when they like stuff like, what's a good example, Spencer, of like something that they just made like really strong, but it wasn't because it's a multiplayer format. It's just because it's like a good card on its own. Like Teferi's Protection, maybe?
Sure. Where that... Yeah, I see what you mean about that. I'm not sure, but the thing with Felisa, or whatever her name is that, you might not realize it immediately, but she does combo really well with cards like Smothering Tithe or Monologue Tax.
Yeah.
Because you create the treasure tokens, and then on the end step you do end up getting, a token for each one you created.
I think that's the coolest thing with her is like Smothering Tithe or like Revel in Riches.
Yeah.
Because Revel in Riches, you could just you make a token, you block with the token, you make another token to replace itself.
Yeah, or you have some sort of sack outlet or something to give you some incremental value.
Or you play like Ophiomancer and a sack outlet, and you just
there you go.
Up yourself a spirit every turn.
That being said, you do have to kind of set up this this engine, which requires, her, something like a Smothering Tithe, something like a sack outlet. So you do need to get several cards in play.
Yeah, she's 5 mana, and she does not guarantee you anything the turn you play her.
And her stats are less than to be desired. 3/4 for 5, not up to the vanilla test. So I want to say she's
almost like a commander that you can remove by removing something else. Because if you play her... And, if you have Smothering Tithe and you go and play her, and somebody just destroys your Smothering Tithe in response, they don't need to kill her, because she's just a 5-mana 3/4, right?
They can just kill the Smothering Tithe.
They can just destroy whatever your token engine is.
And you do kill the Smothering Tithe every time.
Yeah, exactly.
But how do you feel?
I think D tier.
Top of D tier so far? You feel okay with that?
Yeah. She's cool, but,
Oh, yes. So we've had several cards here. I think Ravos was also from Theros, but several cards from the Theros... original, I think he's Theros, right, Eli?
He's actually from the part of the 4-color commander set.
No, but the plane
the
Theros. I think he's from the plane.
I'm not sure if they actually... Yeah, I think he was...
He looks like he is.
He looks like he is.
But, another card from, Theros, the original Theros. So I just like their aesthetic mostly, but Triad of Fates, a good card it is not. Triad of Fates is, I think... This might be a bad thing to say, but I think Triad of Fates would be better if it had the Ghost Council treatment where it was a 4-mana 3/3 with no abilities. I think the fact that it has abilities makes it worse because they kind of incentivize you to do bad things.
Yeah, so the Triad of Fates, it's kind of weird. It's got 3 abilities. First one and tap it. Put a fate counter on another target creature. Second ability, white and tap it. Exile another target creature that has a fate counter on it. Then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So it blink something, but then it loses the fate counter, so you can't blink that same thing again until you put the fate counter on it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then third ability, black, tap it, exile target creature that has a fate counter on it. Well, that's pretty cool. Its controller draws 2 cards. So
yeah, so it's not even
other turn. You can either blink something or exile something, and its controller draws 2 cards.
At the cost of 1 mana each of those turns.
Now, that's not to say that there aren't maybe 5 other cards in the existence of Magic that allow you to put a fate counter on something.
There's only one.
Yeah.
It's called Oblivion Stone.
Oblivion Stone.
So that's about the only fate counter interaction you have. I guess technically you could do some stuff. I think there's some. No, never mind. I was going to say there's some Skullbriar type things, but I don't think there are that keep the exact types of counters on them, except for Skullbriar, and you can't play that.
Not through an exile.
It just, you could. It's not terrible, I guess, to be like, I'm gonna blink something every other turn for 2 mana total, but it's really.
I'm gonna fight you, Spence. I think it is terrible.
Well, you can't even. It's not even every other turn because it's. The first time you get something out of it is 3 turns after you cast it.
F tier.
I want to...
Bottom of F tier.
Here.
Selenia at least...
Does nothing.
It can at least let me escape the game.
I'm putting him above Selenia. Selenia's nothing.
Okay, fine.
Okay. At least it's a 4-mana threat. At least a hill giant. It's a hill giant.
I think maybe it's easier to win with near-death experience than a Triad of Fates deck.
No, because you can blink your Phage. So that's actually easier to die. There you go. But now we got a banger. Banger alert.
The famous
Tymna the Weaver.
She is a 3-mana 2/2 with lifelink. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards. And she has partner.
Based.
So she's the famous quintessential CDH partner, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because she doesn't do anything other than just giving you card advantage. But you know what, Eli? Card advantage is one of the best things you can do in Commander, and she gives it to you on a 3-drop every turn, usually, if you can usually attack somebody, and sometimes multiple cards per turn if you have any other creatures to attack with.
Yeah, and you can do it the turn that she comes down, too.
Yep,
if you can have any creature like a Mana Dork or a Bob or something.
So, Tymna is just an enabler for anything that your deck wants to do. You can build a Tymna deck in any direction. You can pair her with any partner you want to do whatever. So, we don't need to waste our breath on Tymna, honestly. Tymna is just the best Orzhov commander, and that's just all there is to say, right?
S-tier.
Top of S-tier.
I think so.
I think the best. Do you have anything else you want to say about Tymna, Eli?
I think it's good that they don't make Tymnas anymore with partner,
Yeah.
Commander Legends, they made very, some of the partners are kind of good stuff, but they're not just do you like drawing cards? Do you like having lands in your deck?
Do you like drawing cards and having lands in your deck for 2 and 3 mana?
Do you like ramp and card draw?
Yeah, I like ramp and card draw.
Those are pretty good.
Human Cleric, by the way, relevant creature types that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So,
we're almost there.
We only a couple more. Vishkal, Blood Arbiter, everyone's favorite command zone game nights Orzhov commander.
He's wearing sunglasses or something too.
Oh, he is. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. Well, the thing I do like about his art is that, much like Oloro, he's just kind of sitting on a chair.
He looks so much like Oloro.
He
was from that same era, I think, too, and they were just the art design was Oloro that you drew for us?
Yeah.
Just that.
If you were to see the line drawing, when you're making art or whatever, sometimes you do a line sketch just for the poses. I think him and Oloro would have the same exact pose.
Yeah, so I can relate with that, just sitting in a chair and wearing sunglasses. So yeah, do you think that's an S tier?
Yeah, well, almost. The only problem with him is that he's got that 7-mana curse.
Oh, he's 7 mana. Oh no, he's 7 mana, a 5/5 with flying and lifelink. Sacrifice a creature, put X +1/+1 counters on him, where X is the sacrifice creature's power, and remove all counters from Vishkal. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each +1/+1 counter removed this way.
So, like, what's the best? Like, let's say you've gotten up to the point where you can play him. You've got a couple creatures on board. What's the best case scenario? You play him, put a bunch of sacrifice your 2 other creatures, one at a time. Put a bunch of counters on him and kill 2 of your opponent's creatures.
Yeah, well, I like that he's an instant speed free sack outlet, not like that card that doesn't have abilities.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that he's got that removal. I don't like that it's like remove all counters.
If you could just shoot all of the 1 toughness creatures,
if
that would be
cool.
cool.
If you could do it incrementally, that would be really good actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like it a lot, but you kind of have to dump. And like you said, you can do that thing where you sack 1 creature, put a few counters on him, remove those, kill 1 thing, and then you could sack another creature. So you can kind of do it in small doses like that, but that requires having more individual creatures. He's weird.
I'm kind of in the same Teysa boat with him, where he's 7 mana and he does affect the board, but he requires you to pay a huge cost, which is to kill your other probably large creatures, because if you want him to get any significant number of counters, you have to kill your creatures with big power.
Yeah, do you think he's just the king of D tier?
I think so. I think he's above Teysa and probably above the Smothering Tithe Girl.
Yeah, I think he's just he's a relic of old Commander.
Yeah, in the old days, you could just afford to go to 7, play him, and wait a turn, and then play a demon and get the the tutor from your demon, and then sack him later and kill a creature.
And, other shows have said this thing a lot recently, where saying that Commander has really sped up and gotten more competitive, and that it honestly really is true.
It is true.
And people will say stuff like, "Oh, well, the game's gonna end on turn 7 anyways." Well, obviously you can play him before turn 7. It's like when we talk about Gisela. I played the Gisela deck with all that ramp, and you just ramp into her play on turn 4 or 5.
Yeah,
but he's not gonna turn that into a win usually.
Well, and if you just play straight up, play just straight up mana rocks into Vishkal, he doesn't even do anything. You have to have creatures on board to be able to get immediate value out of him, right?
Yeah, you could build around some sack outlet combo and just have a sack outlet in your command zone.
That's okay, I guess, but
I don't think is there another Orzhov commander that's just a free sack outlet with no conditions?
Not that I remember.
So he's got that leg up, but
I guess he also, if you sacrifice your creatures, he can get in for big amounts of commander damage with lifelink and flying, but that's coming in late in the game, right?
Yeah.
But that is something he's got going for him. I don't think that puts him very much higher. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave him here. Maybe there could be an argument made to put him up here-ish, but I don't think he's doing. I think he's just too much mana.
Yeah, if somebody told me they had a really good Vishkal deck, I'd believe it.
I could see it, but I don't think the average Vishkal deck is going to be good, and I also don't think that the really good Vishkal deck wouldn't be better if they just
I don't think it's strong just because of Vishkal.
I mean, it's not really fair to say, but if they played just Tymna as their commander, it'd be much better. But that's not fair because Tymna's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to move on to the last one, we got Vona, Butcher of Magan or Magan. Yeah. Magan, I think.
Yeah, she's a 5 mana 4/4
Conquistador
with a vigilance and lifelink. She's got a boat.
And she's got a crew.
Yeah, and you tap her, pay 7 life, destroy target non-land permanent, but only during your turn. So it's weird. It's not a sorcery speed. It's just on your turn.
Yeah. So the play pattern is you attack with her because she has vigilance. You gain your 4 life, and then you act post combat or even before blocks if you want to. You pay the 7 life, get her blocker out of the way, or kill some other enchantment or artifact or something that needs to die, and that's just kind of what you're doing with her, right? That's all.
Yeah, I think she's really cool. I was talking about these Orzhov commanders that are removal on a stick, and
she is that.
She's maybe the most reliable one, I guess, because like you're gonna have 7 life.
Yeah, well, unless you don't,
but she's 5 mana, and I mean she'll gain you back most of that life with her lifelink, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's pretty solid. I'd say
I want
like
to put her here.
C tier.
I want to put her C tier. Is that okay?
I think I like her better than
Firja, Daxos, right here.
Better than General Kudro.
Ooh,
maybe.
That might be spicy.
I think she's just like pretty good stuff. Like you just like if you could make like a Orzhov good stuff deck and just like not have to use slots in your deck for like extra spot removal, because you just like reliably if you play like a Lightning Greaves or like Swiftfoot Boots, and you can just always like run her out and like remove 2 things.
Yeah, she's a card that gets a lot better if you're able to give her haste the turn she comes out. Because if she's able to immediately impact the board and kill something, it is very versatile. Most of these cards that destroy something or exile something say target creature. Whereas Vona is, I think, the only commander here that says non-land
permanent. Will
permanent.
also get non-land permanents.
Oh, really?
But you have to have that 10 extra
life clause,
and then you have to also sacrifice a creature. So I think
sure.
Yeah, the summoning sickness thing sucks with her because like I could see you play her on turn 4 or 5, and somebody has something really cool, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to lose that."
Yeah.
So I got to kill Vona now.
So yeah, definitely a Greaves deck for sure.
Yeah.
A Greaves deck, 100%.
Stuff to untap her maybe, and just like life gain stuff.
Yeah, I guess that kind of doesn't work well with Greaves, but no, there is that white creature who whenever you attack.
There's a few white cards that untap all your creatures.
Yeah, without targeting, so that's kind of cool. You could curve into that with the one that when you attack,
you play the Mana Mirrors.
Oh my god,
Milliken, and it's a dumb deck. But
you play Gisela in your or you play Aurelia, the War Leader, in your 3-color deck.
In your Mardu aggro deck.
There you go, and then you can lose 14 life real quick.
That sounds amazing. Well, you get an extra comment, so you gain 8 life.
Yeah, and you can play Greven in that deck, so you lose all your life, and then he's huge and kills people.
Sounds like a fun deck.
Sounds like a fun deck. So I think that's about our list. We should probably just give it a once over. Maybe think if there's anything we want to change now that we're at the end. Is anything popping out to you immediately? I think S tier looks okay. Let's see, A tier. Like we said earlier, these could be interchanged, Shadrix and Liesa. I don't really care which one's which. We'll leave it here for now.
Do you want to put Luris at the top of A tier?
Yeah, I'm down with Luris above Elandra.
Because maybe that's just like a gut feeling, but I feel like I would be more afraid of a Luris deck than an Elenda deck.
I think a Luris deck might come out swinging faster, because an Elenda deck might need to set up more.
And a Luris deck will just like grind you into
dust.
Win. Yeah, like attrition, like it's probably one of like the best attrition commanders, right? Like just
it does a lot.
Like those repeatable removal permanents, like the seals and like like we played against a Liesa the Traitor deck with Executioner's Capsule,
and it just comes back every turn, and you're like, well, I guess I just don't,
That's hard to get out from.
It is. I mean, Luris does fold to a rest in peace, but
I think a lot of these do. That's just Orzhov thing.
But you have removal for it in Orzhov for sure.
Exactly.
So let me take a look here. Do you think there's any major changes in B tier or A tier that you want to change? I'm not super confident in a lot of these B tier ones, so I'm not sure.
I think a lot of it's pretty interchangeable.
You could if you thought the Athreos was super good, you could put him at the top of B tier. I wouldn't be offended. If you thought maybe this thing's epic and you put it up here, maybe Krav and Regna sucks and you put him down. I don't know, but I think C tier. I don't know. I kind of want to move this down, but maybe not. How do you feel about the night guy?
Move her to like top of D tier.
Maybe not though. I'm not sure.
I think
it's a hunch feeling.
I think Firja might beat D tier.
Damn.
You think like top of D tier? Because she's not a good body. She doesn't reliably draw you cards.
Yeah. No.
Because like Vishkal's probably better than her, isn't she? Like, isn't Vishkal, you think? Like, maybe better than that?
You're saying this, then?
Yeah.
I could see that, honestly. You don't... Well, Yeah, unless you can't really play Firja on curve and draw a card right away. If you play her off curve and then play like a removal spell afterwards, you can draw a card.
She doesn't do anything the turn she comes down, really, and she doesn't even like block that well on turn 5.
Oh my god, how epic would it be to play Firja and then play like Ornithopter in your deck, so you can play Firja Ornithopter?
You probably do, honestly, and yeah, then just. But then you have that problem, like we were talking about with like Feather on the last one. You're playing bad cards in order to draw more bad cards.
Okay.
So, I think that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think. All right, I'm putting Triad of Fates at bottom of F just because, even though this is honestly probably correct, I think, Triad of Fates is just a meme, so we're putting it there.
Well, I feel like I would play with somebody playing a Selenia deck, and they would do like the near-death experience thing, and I'd be like, you know what, respect to you. That's a cool deck. And you play against somebody with a Triad of Fates, and you're like, no, you're just an idiot.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry.
They're like,
I don't mean that.
So yeah, like you were saying, Eli, the Triad of Fates player would be like they're gonna be like, I'm gonna Imperial Seal for the, what do you call it, the Fate counter card.
Your Oblivion Stone?
They'll be like, I'm gonna Imperial Seal for Oblivion Stone, and then like it just never does anything.
They're like, check this shit out. I'm gonna pay 1 mana to put a Fate counter on my creature
instead of 3 or whatever it is.
I think it's 4 with Oblivion Stone.
Yeah. It's like, boom, got him. All right, well, this has been going on for long enough. I think that's about our list. If you want to, I'll put the link to this list in the description if you want to do it for yourself or give us any, changes you have. We're not...
Yeah, we love seeing people's opinions on this.
And we're not, super Orzhov gamers yet, so...
You're not an idiot if you play Triad of the Fates.
Yeah,
It's probably okay.
It's a meme.
I don't love it.
It's a meme card.
That's just it's just like our opinion, man.
It's just my opinion, man. But, yeah, I mean, like, let us know what you got. I think, I'm not sure what our next our next tier list video is going to be.
I was thinking Azorius. So I was thinking we could start going through all the white color combinations.
And then go in Woodburg order, you think? Or
something like that.
Something like maybe, sure, we can pick a color and go through all those and then move on to that.
Yeah, because I felt like I wanted to kind of start with the ones, like, there's the Boros is a meme. Everyone's like, oh, it's the worst. And I wanted to see, like, what are, like, considered to be the weakest color combinations and maybe do those ones first.
Yeah. So, just because I know we've only done 2 of them, but maybe this is crazy of me, but I feel like the Boros commanders are a decent bit better than most of the Orzhov commanders. Is that crazy?
I think so. I think they're a lot more explosive, generally. Like,
yeah.
These Orzhov commanders, like I said earlier, they all feel pretty fair.
They all need a lot of setup, too.
Outside of, like, maybe Timna, Karlov, and Luris, I don't think there's too many that I would be like, oh, this is like a kill on site. That I would be like, I feel like I wouldn't have to target that player, really, unless they were, like, an Orzhov player, unless they were playing those decks. Yeah. I think they're all just very solid.
Nothing wrong with Orzhov decks, and I think the power of Orzhov decks comes in the 99 for sure. All of the efficient removal, you can always have an answer in an Orzhov deck, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's about
Black cards are very good, and contrary to popular belief, they don't get worse when you play white cards with them.
They get better most of the time.
You know what's really cool is Sun Titan in decks that can play Animate Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because you reanimate your Sun Titan, you get back an Animate Dead, you get back another creature.
Oh, it's so
Does anything sound better than that?
That sounds like a dream.
So, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up.
Yeah, yeah,
please let us know what you think. Give us a subscribe on the channel, like, comment. Definitely a comment. We want to hear what people think on these ones.
Yeah, so...
And our Twitter is @EDH takes if you want to yell at us on there, too.
That's fine.
Say you're bad at tier lists.
Tell us our jokes are cringe. But, yeah, that's about all we got. So, see you guys next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Mm-hmm.